On today's video, I want to ask the question, do I trust James Gunn with Creature Commandos, Peacemaker Season 2 and Superman? That's the first thing I want to talk about today. Then I want to go back and look at the era of Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor and confess to you that I never understood the resistance to having a female Doctor. But first of all, do I have faith in James Gunn in terms of Peacemaker Season 2, Creature Commandos, and Superman? In terms of Creature Commandos and Peacemaker Season 2, I have 100% faith that James Gunn has done and is doing a great job with those two shows, because that's where James Gunn's strengths as a storyteller lie. Group of people, not exactly perfect, flawed people getting together to save the world or to fight crime or whatever. He's brilliant at creating different caricatures and getting them together and clicking them together or them resisting each other. He's brilliant at that. That's how he became a worldwide famous writer-director. But if you're asking me if I have 100% faith in him over Superman, no. I'd be lying to you if I said, oh yeah, I've got total faith in James over Superman and it's going to be the bestest movie ever. No, I'd be lying. I have my reservations about him doing Superman. I've always had my reservations about him doing Superman. If I had the power, if it was up to me, he would not be writing and directing a Superman film. He wouldn't even be running DC Studios. Because I think his strength, as I've said, is Creature Commandos, is Peacemaker 2, and maybe even a potential Suicide Squad trilogy or whatever, right? That stuff he would be amazing at. If it was me, he would have his little department at DC Studios and he would be fleshing out his Suicide Squad universe world. I've told you that before because that's what he's good at. Your Guardians of the Galaxy, your Suicide Squad, your Peacemakers, that's what he's good at. So I don't mind people challenging themselves, and at the end of the day, it must be challenging for him to make a Superman film because that's utterly different. Because there's only one character. It's about one character, right? Superman, Clark Kent, Kal-El, the last son of Krypton. That's who you've got to focus on. But here's the reality of the situation, boys and girls. He's not doing that. He's basically doing Guardians of the Galaxy and calling it Superman. That's what he's doing. Basically, this is a Justice League movie he's titling Superman. He's got a multitude of DC characters who are not just cameoing in this movie, play a full role. Like the Engineer, like what's his name? I forgot the Green Lantern that's going to be in the film as well. He's going to be in it. And there's going to be several other. I think there's going to be at least 5, 6, maybe 7 other DC characters in this movie. So already, the movie's going to have a Guardians of the Galaxy aesthetic, where it's about a bunch of characters getting together and trusting Superman. And ultimately, it's about building up this Justice League DC team. That's what this film's about. So this is not about focusing just on Superman. It's about focusing on all these different characters. So I suppose in a way, wisely, he's doing what he knows best, right? He's doing what he knows best. He's making a film about a group of characters that find it difficult and don't play well with others. And that's what he's doing here. He's sticking to what he knows best. So this is why I have reservations about this Superman movie, but this is why I don't have any reservations about Peacemaker 2 or Creature Commandos. For example, Peacemaker 2, he's had this plan for a long time, starting from the Suicide Squad, Peacemaker Season 1, and now, and really Creature Commandos 2 and Peacemaker Season 2. It's all part of a plan. The Suicide Squad saw Christopher Smith, aka Peacemaker, murdering Rick Flag Jr. Then in Creature Commandos, we're going to meet Rick Flag Sr. in animated form. And in Peacemaker Season 2, we've already seen a little reel of that, which is not much. But you've got Peacemaker saying, oh yeah, no one's going to split us up, which means obviously Rick Flag Sr. is going to break them apart. That's what he's good at. But if you're asking me to say to you, I have absolute confidence in James making a Superman movie, I apologize, I can't do that. Now let's talk about Jodie Whittaker's tenure as the Doctor. Now, this was a very controversial casting, the first full-time female Doctor. I'm not telling you that I think Chibnall's era of Doctor Who is the bestest ever, but compared to RTD2, at least he had a vision. At least he had a direction for what he was doing. I definitely think that the Chibnall era is nowhere near in the same iconic league as the Moffat era and RTD1 era, but in terms of RTD2, it's so much better. But yeah, this isn't my favourite era. But I never understood the anger and resistance towards casting the first female Doctor. If you said to me there was going to be a female James Bond, if you told me in this new Harry Potter reboot we were getting Harriet Potter instead of Harry Potter, I would be resistant, angry and frustrated about that. But we know the Doctor is an alien who can regenerate into any humanoid form. So I never understood the resistance and anger towards this choice. Was it wrong maybe for him to cast a friend of his in the role, for them to claim, oh yeah, she auditioned, she earned the role? No, she auditioned so you could say, oh, she auditioned and earned the role. I don't believe that for a minute. But Jodie Whittaker is a really good, capable actor, as we saw in Broadchurch, and several other things that she's done. She's a good actor, there's no question about that. Anyone says that she's not because they didn't want a female Doctor is talking crap, nonsense. I nearly swore and I don't want to do that on here. At the end of the day, it's not up to Jodie Whittaker the direction her Doctor went in. That's down to Chris Chibnall. I believe he did her a disservice. He underdeveloped her. He underdeveloped his companions. And ultimately, he paid the price for that. But the reason that I don't love Jodie's iteration of the Doctor or the Chibnall era as much as I do RTD1 and the Moffat era is because of the reasons I've just belabelled. Not because she was being played by a woman. Not because we had the first female Doctor. And as I say, I never understood the resistance to this. You know, you get Jane Bond instead of James Bond. Yeah, I get the anger towards that. But this, it's all there in the history of the show. Now, if you're angry about the Timeless Children, I get that, right? I get that. Because it's messing with the basics of the show. They're trying to rewrite history because they weren't very diverse with their casting in Classic Who. But instead of trying to rewrite history, new entertainment, why not, when you're moving forward, as you did with the first full-time female Doctor, as you've done now with Shooty, the first full-time black Doctor, instead of trying to rewrite history, to be better moving forward, as they're trying to be right now. But I never understood the resistance towards a female Doctor. I never understood the hatred. You can be angry about the narrative of the show and what the show did within the Chibnall era. I get that. You can be frustrated in the underdevelopment of the first full-time female Doctor. You know, we saw Jo Martin come in as a mysterious version of the Doctor. Jo Martin is a female actor of colour. And I think we can all agree, within one episode, she came across as a much better, vibrant Doctor than Jodie Whittaker's version of the Doctor. And that still boggles my mind. It's like Chibnall seemed to make her a better Doctor than Jodie's Doctor. And I think something none of us can argue with, that Sacha Dhawan's Master is one of the best versions of that character, if not the best we've ever seen. But even in The Timeless Children, he took centre stage. In her final episode, The Power of the Doctor, he took centre stage. So Chibnall's a little bit of a hypocrite there. But I never was angry about a female Doctor. Look, it'd been debated for many years. They were even thinking about it during the Classic Who era. So it's not like this hasn't been on the cards, but this shouldn't be a big deal, right? And the parameters you set with a female Doctor or a black Doctor should be the same parameters as you set with a straight white male Doctor. Write them as well and complex, as possible. But for some reason, the first female Doctor and the first black Doctor haven't got the complexities that the white dude's got. And something we need to ask Chris Chibnall, as I've said many times on my platform, and Russell T Davies, why not?